Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ron Paul Renaissance. I felt like I needed to create a video to just address my opinion on the pure ignorance of people on YouTube and on TV when it comes to Ron Paul's proposed 1 trillion in cuts and a balanced budget in 3 years. Um, every time they seem to bring this up, people can't get their minds past how scary it sounds. Ron Paul wants to cut the Department of Education. So that means that our children aren't going to be able to go to school anymore, and they won't have school supplies, and they'll just be wandering the streets aimlessly in the daytime, and they'll never get an education. If you really think that we would allow that to happen, then there's no point of even talking to you because your logic is completely fucking skewed. We would never allow that to happen. The truth of the matter is that since the federal takeover of education and healthcare and all these other things, they've all gone down. The quality of it has gone down because the whole point of having states was to have laws and agencies in those states that reflected the needs of people in those states. The needs of people in California compared to New York could be completely different. And the idea that the federal government can create a one size fits all plan that works for everyone is absurd. That wasn't that wasn't the point of the federal government. It was the states' jobs to experiment with healthcare reform, with education reform, with civil rights, and we could have 50 different experiments at once. And if a state developed something that worked, the other states would notice it and adopt that system because clearly it worked. When you have a federal government that creates a one size fits all plan for everyone, it doesn't work. The opinions of individuals just get muddled into one stupid fucking shouting voice that can get nothing done. And the sick part of it is that everyone can agree that we have a $1.5 trillion a year deficit and that can't be sustained. That we need something serious. We need to seriously cut spending in this country on these useless, bloated agencies that we're not getting our money worth, that we're pumping billions of dollars a year into, and what we're getting back isn't reflective of what we're putting in. It doesn't match up anymore. And the idea that we can't cut these agencies once they're created is absurd. It's like trying to patch a boat that's sinking down to the fucking bottom. It's not going to do us any good. We've created too much of this government oversight and created an agency for every function of government. It's filled with massive amounts of staff members and bloated budgets, and it's been proven not to work, and people don't see that. They think, well, I think it can work, it's just we need to make some minor cuts here and there, and then all these agencies will do their job and we actually need them. No, that hasn't worked. That clearly hasn't worked. That's what we tried for the past at least 50, 60 years. The idea that government can fix it all. And that's what brought us into this situation. Government meddling in things they had no business meddling in the housing market, propping up these huge financial institutions that were putting trillions of dollars of subprime malinvestment into the system, knowing that it would collapse, hedging their bets so that they actually made more money off people defaulting on their debts than people paying them back. And when it finally collapsed, like they knew it would, they had the federal government in there to bail them out with trillions of dollars. And uneducated people hear that and they go, well, that needed to be done because if these institutions failed, the entire country would go down and there would be riots in the streets. There's already riots in the streets. People are angry. They're seeing that the same old isn't working. And what people don't understand is when you pump trillions of dollars of fiat money that's backed by nothing into our financial system, it devalues the purchasing power of every single one of our dollars. If I'm making $10 an hour and they pump $15 trillion more into our system, the purchasing power of that $10 has just gone down to 9 and change. Basically, the purchasing power of my dollar, I can't buy as much as I used to. And that's compounded even more because simultaneously, as the purchasing power of the dollar goes down, the price of goods goes up. So it's a double whammy. So just pumping trillions of dollars into the system isn't a fix, which is what I hear people, especially on Occupy Wall Street, saying that needs to happen. We need to print ungodly amounts of money. We need to print so much more money, which would create an illusion of fixing for maybe 5 years if you're lucky. But the fact is, the Federal Reserve has devalued the dollar 98% since its inception in 1913. Now, there is a natural ceiling on that. The natural ceiling on that is 100%. You can't devalue a currency 100%. That means it's worth absolutely nothing. And when it's worth absolutely nothing, the other countries of the world are going to start ditching the dollar as the reserve of the world. And when that happens, this financial situation we're in right now is going to be nothing compared to what it looks like on the streets of America. It's going to be violence and riots and pure degradation everywhere you look. And that's not just scare tactics. That's provable truth. That you can't continue to devalue a currency and print money willy-nilly whenever you want. It's been proven to destroy countries like Soviet Union and Japan. They did the exact same thing. So, to me, what sounds more scary than cutting departments like the Department of Education and Energy is borrowing 40 cents of every dollar from a foreign communist country, which is China. If China woke up one day and decided they don't want to give us these loans anymore, America is fucked. We're not going to be able to sustain our country. So that to me sounds much more scary than cutting 5 bloated government agencies. And he's not even talking about completely cutting. He's talking about transferring the actual important things they do to other existing agencies. So we can cut down on the amount of staff and cut down on the budgets that we have to give these individual agencies, when the truth of the matter is that existing agencies can execute the exact same functions as them. We don't need another agency for every single function of government. That is the problem. So the idea that people are laughing at Ron Paul and think that the idea of cutting these agencies is just completely unrealistic or completely off base. And the sad part is if we don't do something like this, that the situation on Wall Street and the situation of people losing their homes and jobs has just begun. And the reason people are excited about Ron Paul is because they think, holy shit, there is still a politician left that has my best interest at mind, that actually wants to bring about real change in this country and bring us back to the ideals that we were founded on. And he's laughed off the stage. That's how out of touch America has become with the founding fathers and the Constitution. The government wasn't supposed to have this kind of power over every single aspect of our lives. And the consequence of that is gigantic amounts of the gigantic federal budget that can't be sustained, and that's being proven today. And these other candidates that want to just cut some money here and there, and they actually want to increase spending massively. Like the idea that we're going to build a fence right now, not that it's not a good idea for the future, but the idea that we're going to build a fence right now that goes completely across the border of Mexico and California that would cost billions, if not trillions, and billions of dollars a year to sustain is actually on the table. Spending more? No, the thing that's going to stop the immigration is giving them the incentives, like Rick Perry giving $100,000 towards education of illegal immigrants. Meanwhile, Americans have to go $100,000 in debt. and many of them never end up paying that off for their entire lives. They can't even get jobs for what they got their degree in. And these ideas sound good to them. They're more preoccupied with how articulate a candidate is and how powerful he sounds and looks and how nice his suit is than the words that are actually coming out of his mouth. They've become so out of touch with politics that the only energy they have is to chime in every night at 8 o'clock to watch fucking Bill O'Reilly and see his opinion on the candidates and who can actually win. They don't even have the energy to follow it themselves because they care more about celebrity worship and the new fucking iPod than they do about who's running the country. And when they do pay attention, all they seem to be able to wrap their minds around is a catchy slogan like "Yes we can" or "999." I have no idea what 999 is and what it'll do, but boy, it sure sounds good, doesn't it? If they did the math, they would see that it raises the taxes on middle class and poor. And if you make, I think the stat is $300,000 or more a year, your taxes are going to go from 27% to 18%. So who does that really benefit? It benefits Herman Cain and his buddies that are absurdly rich. So if that's what you're looking for just a smooth talker like Obama, that's what you get. You get a smooth talker that has no experience actually in politics and getting things done. Ron Paul has that experience. I'm tired of hearing people compare Ron Paul to Obama. Obama was a no one. No one knew who Obama was. He had no experience other than his lengthy term as a senator, which in that he did nothing. So he had minor experience. And the second he came out, he was portrayed as a god. Like, he's the savior of our country. You can't compare him to Ron Paul because you can actually look back 30 years and see that Ron Paul hasn't changed his opinion on a single fucking thing. That is a world of difference. Someone who you can look back in their history and see that they haven't changed their minds based on what the people want or what lobbyists were offering them. So don't even compare them. If that's what you want is another smooth talker like Herman Cain or Mitt Romney or Obama, then you're going to see what this country turns into in the next 4 to 8 years. Because if you think that Occupy Wall Street and people are pissed off now, you wait and see what happens when we get another president in there that doesn't change anything, that doesn't know how to change anything. We're going to have violent riots on the streets, and that's all that Ron Paul supporters are trying to stop. We're trying to actually get real change the democratic way by someone in office that actually has our best interests at heart. Because you're going to see, if we don't elect Ron Paul, the escalation of Occupy Wall Street into violence and rioting. So if you're one of these people that's just completely blown away by the idea of cutting these government agencies, then there's nothing we can do to help you. The only thing that's going to prove it to you is complete financial collapse, which is sad.